Afghanistan, Afghanistan, Afghanistan. Oh, Afghanistan, how hast thou risen so mightily, and how has the mighty fallen so miserably? I want everybody to know that I'm not un-American. I love America. I do. I'm born here. My birth state is North Carolina, the Tar Heel state. Love North Carolina. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. Yes. But I have to tell you that America has lost every war since World War II. And you cannot give the winning of World War II against the fascist axis of Hitler and Mussolini simply, and of course Japan, simply to America, because Russia was involved along with Churchill. So it was a, if you will, allied forces against the Axis forces. But since then, since 1947, America has lost every war she has been in. She lost the Korean War that happened in the 1950s. Actually, there was the Korean, if you will, loss, but they call it a ceasefire when North Korea, as we now understand it, and South Korea, as we now understand it, in America, was supporting forces in South Korea. And China, in its last major world conflict, you know, you don't know about China being involved in wars. They did have a war with Japan. At one point, Japan was whipping China's butt. But in the Korean War, the Chinese, 300,000 Chinese came screaming across the Yellow River and drove America back down to South Korea. And they set up a peace treaty along what is now known as a 38th parallel, or the demilitarized zone. So America, South Korea, and North Korea are still at war. There's just been a 70-some year peace treaty called the demilitarized zone. But America lost that war as well. They were defeated by China. China defeated America in Korea, on the peninsula of Korea. Then came Vietnam. And actually, the French had been in Indochina and Vietnam, and then after they got defeated, America decided to go into with a false, bogus start of a war to take the Indochina area in Vietnam. They were there for over 10 years, nearly 20 years. 58,000 young men of the ages 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 got their lives blown to smithereens. Bamboo shoots, all kinds of bombs and burstings and bouncing betties. Destroyed an entire generation of young men from America who never made it back home. There was nothing to pick up from their bodies. America lost that war. And the fall of Saigon in 1965 was one of the most treacherous sights that we've ever seen, in America in retreat. I mean, America running like she's got a yellow streak down her back from the Viet Cong in Saigon, until just recently the fall of Kabul. And America and those people running alongside that C-17 plane, falling from the sky, trying to get out of Afghanistan, has now topped the debauchery and the, if you will, the horrendous sight of what happened in Saigon has now been upset by what's happened in Afghanistan and in Kabul. But America has been losing now since World War II. They lost Vietnam. The Soviets supported Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh. And they lost the Iraq War, even though they were able to kill Saddam Hussein and ravage the nation of Iraq in ways that were just unprecedented, uncalled for, unconstitutional, and ungodly. And I say that as an American, that the war in Iraq was just flat out wrong. It was deadly. And I don't know how George Bush sleeps at night, knowing all of the people and the blood that was spilled by his arrogance of going into Baghdad. But they lost. And now the great defeat of what's happening. They've been defeated again by the Hashemites, by the Sunnis in Afghanistan. And I don't say any of these things as somehow or another I'm gleeful or joyful that America has lost these military events. and that she would not win another one. Now America has our own internal civil war, red states against the blue states. And those that are, if you will, conservative, and those that are so-called liberal. The cities against the rural areas is a war that's brewing now. The attack, when I look at the Kabul airport and the people are running alongside that C-17 plane and others, I think about the event on January 6th, where they were trying to when they made their assault on the Temple of Democracy. So America's lost. That's it. America is not a winner anymore. America, and I don't say that gleefully. Somehow or another, I'm anti-American. Oh, hey, old black man, he against America, he anti-American. No, brother, no, come on now. Don't come down that road with me. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm just telling you the truth. America has been beaten by the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong. The Chinese beat them in North Korea. And the Hashemite brothers have beat them in Iraq and also in Afghanistan. Well, what's going to happen? Let me ask you a question, and I promise not to inflict myself upon you any further. What is perhaps the most quoted phrase of the, if you know about the tribulation? Are you familiar with the tribulation narrative of Jesus in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24? If I was to ask you, what about that narrative of the tribulation is most memorable? And if you don't mind my assuming that I'm right on this, the one phrase you remember from the narrative of Matthew 24 regarding the tribulation is that there shall be what? Say it with me. Come on. I can say it. Go ahead. There shall be wars, right? And rumors of wars. Is that what you remember? Verse 6, and it shall come to pass, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. So Jesus is the prophecy. He's right on this, my brother. And I just have to tell you, don't look for better days unless you're one of the elect. Don't look for that. And in my earlier segment, I talked about perhaps possible global jihadists on one of the world's youngest religions, and that is the Hashemites, or the Muslims, if you will. And they're now global conquest to destroy Satan as they understand it. I think it's important that we consider those items. I want to ask you to come up close for just 1 second. And I want to talk to 3-year and older veterans of the Trust in Lord Hour, the Open Rewards Prayer Meeting, the Manna Report, and the Pulpit of Power, those 4 ministries that we do every week, producing at least 20 different ministries or sermons every week. If you are a 3-year or older veteran, by old I mean 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, older veteran of any of these ministries that we do on a daily basis every week, and you are not a supporter, you've not joined with the ministry to give to pledge your support and your alignment with what we've been teaching. My question is why? You've had 3 years to observe us. You've had 3 years to listen to us on a daily basis, all weekend, all day long, any hour of the day. We're broadcasting. You've had 3 years to watch our various successes. You've 3 years to watch our ups and downs. You've had 3 years to listen to the tenor or the consistency of what we have said, whether we are consistent or whether we're all over the chart in what we do and what we believe. You've had 3 years to watch people around us who have made the commitment to join with our ministry in church and to financially support it. And by the way, I want to give another shout out to Brother Jesse Munoz out there in San Bernardino, along with Goldfinger, who is just extraordinary giver, and others that do extraordinary giving to our ministry. My question is to you, if you are a 3-year veteran or older, why haven't you joined? Why haven't you committed? And I suppose some of the reasons would say, well, Pastor Man, I belong to another church. And why? How could you, after 3 years of hearing me teach about the Sabbath, about righteousness, about the tribulation, and listen to me faithfully as you do, and still go sit up in another pastor's face? How could you be? It's like a woman sleeping with two men. You know, one she likes during the week and the other she likes on the weekend. It's hypocritical. How could you do that? I mean, essentially, you started 3 months ago. I can understand. Well, it may take you some time to evaluate. It may take you some time to look at me, to discover, who I am. You say, well, Pastor, that's not that I don't belong to another church or ministry. I'm with you. But there's some things you say I like, and there's some things you say I don't like. Why? Why is it that you've made a decision that there's some things that you don't like are stronger than the things that you do like? I am not a psychiatrist, but I am an analyst. And I have to tell you, I analyze the world, understanding. The understanding and wisdom tells me this, that if there are things that a person such as myself that I am saying, there is no room to disagree with what I am saying unless your purpose is to find something to disagree with. Let's say, for instance, you say, well, I like the fact that you talk about Obama, but I don't like the fact that you talk about Trump. Let's say, for instance, you're one of those, right? Well, the purpose, it isn't that you just like what I say about Obama, but don't like what I say about Trump. What it is that you are looking for a reason to support Trump. It isn't that you don't like it. It's just that you don't like the fact that I'm saying something about him. It isn't that what I'm saying is wrong. Let me put it that way. It isn't what I'm saying is wrong or indifferent. You know it's right. But you've lived your life, or you've come up, or you've been raised with a doctrine that you can really live in a false reality. That's where you are. You've been raised in a doctrine that you can live in a false reality. That is to say, you can like the truth about Obama, but you don't like the truth about Trump. And it's the same truth. It's the same truth. There's no difference. But because you have been indoctrinated to live in a false reality, you are really a person who needs psychological debriefing. But trust me, there are zillions of people around the world who live that way. There are people who know what I'm saying about Trump or Obama is right. They know it, but they choose to ignore it based on the fact that they find a reality that isn't true, and they've settled in there. Say, well, that's one of the reasons why I've not made a commitment, because, I don't like the fact. I wish you would support what I support. But the truth of the matter is, then why do you come? You've given 3 years or more of your life to listen to me? 3 years of your life to listen to me? And you're not tired of listening to me yet? And you've given 3 years of your life, and over the past 3 years, your life has been greatly upgraded. You've learned, you've been educated, you've been enlightened. And let me say this to you. If you make the commitment, say, well, Pastor, I'm joining with you, and I'm going to support, I'm going to do the tithe and offering, I'm going to do the first fruit, I'm going to keep the Sabbath, your life is going to soar. Now listen to me very carefully, and I'm not going to leave you alone after this. Listen to me very carefully. You come as often as you come over the past 3 years because you're being helped. You're being educated. You're being enlightened, right? Right. But the thing that you like, whether you say, well, I like what you say about Obama, but I don't like what you say about Trump. You do the same thing with the Word of God, such as you like the things I say, the teachings that I say, the way I explain the Bible, the way I break it all down and make it clear. But when it comes to things like money or tithing and offering or the Sabbath, well, that is also true, but because of your false reality, because you really need a psychological debriefing, because of your false reality, you choose not to believe the tithe or the first fruit or the Sabbath. Now, it isn't that it isn't true. It's as true as all the other things I've said. But you live in a false reality where you try to ignore the truth about the tithe, and so you don't do it. But everything else I say is good to go. Everything I ever say is good to go, good enough to share with your friends. It makes you laugh. It educates you. It enlightens you. But the tithe, well, and the full commitment to the ministry, well, the first fruit offerings, well, the Sabbath, that's all true as well. But you have chosen and you've been raised and indoctrinated to have a dual reality, which is dangerous. Jesus said this, and I'll leave you. He said, I would rather you be the hot or cold, but not lukewarm. You're lukewarm. You have a dual reality. He said, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. I would rather you be completely stomped down against Pastor Manny, trying to take him down. Be fully against him. Be against him with all of your strength. Or be fully for him with all of your strength. But don't be in the middle, somewhere lukewarm. You're better than to be spit out of the mouth of Jesus if you're lukewarm. So what's it going to be? You're going to make the commitment and grow and be even greatly better blessed, or you're going to continue to walk in the lukewarm spit of the mouth of the Savior. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.